The Kanye and Drake concert was monumental for my family and my father and the movement that we have for him. The situation with my father as far as getting the opportunity to let the world know what was going on and what he was up against. As far as dealing with the powers to be, it wasn't really a thing for them because they don't really appreciate him having the influence that he has in the world, even though it's not a negative influence and a lot of people portray his influence as a negative influence. It was just a great thing to let the world know what was going on, help keeping his name alive, help keeping the fight alive, just letting everybody know what was going on. The other thing after that is because we had a lot more information that somehow got lost through that platform that was going to give more about prison reform, but it still gave the opportunity to make sure he was still in people's minds because they really want him to disappear. And if he disappear, they just keep doing what they're doing to him and nobody cares. And then they're just fine with burying him and writing the story of his life the way that they want to write it. And that's with him being Larry Hoover, king of the Gangster disciples, and not Larry Hoover, the man that was trying to make a change for his people. So it was beautiful, and it gives me the opportunity to be in spaces like this. Because if it wasn't for my father, I wouldn't be here. That's why I get the opportunities to give my opinion and try to say some things that might transform some thoughts of some of the younger individuals out here in the world. I speak to adults, but I think it's kids. I think they're easier to change their mindset at a young age. Like, a lot of cats get older and they're kind of set in their ways and set in their thoughts, which you really shouldn't do that because, like, my father's true thing was growth and development. And with growth and development, you can always grow and develop to become a better person, to become a more thoughtful or a smarter person. So, yeah, it just helped open up the platform. It helped bring me here, and it helped keep him alive. The backstory of how the concert came together was basically through Kanye. I had some inside people that were next to Kanye, and they connected us. And they didn't connect us really for putting that together, but they connected us as far as just him reaching out and wanting Kanye trying to do things in Chicago and see what he can to make a change. And like, he was influenced by my father. So it was like, this will help him. This will help his situation because we trying to explain to Kanye to be like who my father is. We really wanted him to use his influence to bring these younger guys here in Chicago together because musically, everybody wanted to work with Kanye, and that was kind of what we wanted to do. But just him bringing us to the table because he wanted to see if it was anything he could do to assist my father because he know about all of the good things he did in the community. He was influenced by him. So that started it, and then I have a relationship with Jay Prince, and I met Drake a couple times, and it just, one thing led to another, and it was all put together with trying to assist in the movement to advocate for my father getting a second chance at life because they try not to give him a second chance when it's time. He deserves it. He's an old man. The whole movement that we're doing, it's not just about my father. It's about mass incarceration. It's about prison reform because my father is not the only one that's being put in these situations. The Kanye and Drake situation gave us the platform to speak out about it. That's what led to the whole Free My Father thing, and a lot of people don't understand. See, Free My Father, and I have Larry Hoover on this shirt because this is my father. But Free My Father is not just for Larry Hoover, and it's not just for people that are in prison. There's some fathers out here that have alcohol issues, mental health issues. It's fathers that just don't know how to be fathers. They need to free their mind from the thoughts that they have. Prison reform and Free My Father is for our community, man. It's for these little kids that's growing up out here trying to find somebody to look up to. It's for the young men that are wasting away in jails when they could do something different. It's for them being wrongly convicted, overly convicted for things that they don't get they don't deserve the time that they get for the crimes that they're doing out here. You know, it's deep. It goes in many different directions, but it's about saving lives, man. And it's hoping that the powers that be realize that we need more opportunities to do things differently. It's for the young men that's out here to understand that you can control yourself so you don't wind up in these situations, because you see we need prison reform, so it's not going to be fair. They're not too open to giving second chances and dealing with you fairly. So it's important to me. It's been a part of my life. I got it from my father. Then I went away to school and, you know, just started learning about my people and my community. And so I've always been apt to trying to give back and trying to make a change. And prison reform is a way to try to make a change. We need to put people in position to make the choices that we need to make. And that's another thing that I learned from my father. That's what he did years ago with 21st Century Vote. He had power. He had voters blocks. He rocked the vote before any other entertainers did it a long time ago. And you know, that wasn't really good for our city. It was good for our city, but to the powers that be, it wasn't good for a man in prison to have a voters block. But he knows how important it is for us to put the people we need in position to advocate for us. Currently, we're addressing the generational trauma that's been occurring in our communities, not just our communities in Chicago, but in communities all across the country that's just like our country. I mean, just like Chicago. When I speak on projects, just to make it clear, because every city is not like Chicago, this the housing projects, the Chicago public housing, to be exact. It's the urban communities that we live in. The part of town where we have high-rise buildings here in Chicago, but in other cities it's the apartments. You know, it's the where the poor people live, because you know it's trailer parks, it's whatever. It's poor people all over the world, and they don't just come in black and white. That's part of the problem. You know, we add it over black and white when poor white people, poor Mexican, poor everybody are dealing with the same issues. And if we could get past the fact of seeing people for people and know that we dealing with the same issues, we would be able to come together and go at the government to try to make a change with what we have to deal with. But instead, we all separating and fighting each other instead of fighting for what the problem is. If we as poor Americans could work with the government to make changes in our communities, we would get ahead. We will, but we would get ahead if we could work together instead of fighting each other. The PTSD that we have from being poor Americans and living in the urban communities and the projects, it puts us in a position where we feel as though we don't have any opportunities to survive but through crime. And crime may get you ahead, but it hurts you even more in the end. If you would live inside the system and not be the outcast of the system, you wouldn't have to deal with the police not as much, because it's kind of wild out here. But you wouldn't really have to deal with the police to the extent that you have to, trying to harm you, and then you can get what the system has for you. And when I say live within the system, you need an education. You need a diploma for certain little things to happen in life. College isn't for everybody, but to get certain jobs, you need a high school diploma. And then you want to get a better job that pays even more, you need a college diploma. It doesn't necessarily make you smarter than everybody else, but you qualify to be in that position. Like, you just can't be in that position because you want to be in that position. The way this system works is you have to work inside this system. You can't sit on the outside and complain about what's going on the inside of the system that you live in. Like, if you're not going to take part in the system and go through some of the rules and regulations that's in the system that you live in, how can you complain about it, and how do you expect it to help you? We got to go through the system. We live on the outside of the system. We like terrorists and they treat us like they treat us in our communities now. You could commit crime to get ahead, but like when you committing crime, it's a short-term solution, but it creates a long-term problem. You committing crimes to save your family, to feed your family, to protect your kids. Well, when you go to jail, there's nobody there to protect your kids or to protect your family. Now you can't help them. Now they by themselves. It would be even better if you just worked hard and you stayed there. And if y'all didn't even get the money that you got through crime, you would at least be able to be there and be the head of the household and guide them and protect them and teach them how to be adults and just be there for them. Because now when you locked up that boyfriend that you didn't want there, that's beating on your daughter, or those friends that's misleading your son, you can't be there for them. Over the phone, it doesn't really work too well. What people don't understand, the projects which are gone now was actually a project, and it made trauma. We were caged in a small area, and when you caged in a small area, they study it, they use rats and what have you, and you see what happened. We started to eat each other. The trauma that's left on people for living in these situations is part of what caused the way we feel about each other, the way we react towards each other right now today. Like, actual spaces that we lived in may have been gone, but the mental stress, the post-traumatic stress is still there. So this is a response to the program that was laid out for us. Like, you can't actually see what was laid out for the people to cause them to, you can say that, oh, the white man did it, but you can't see it. There's no white man there in the community doing the things that's going on. It's mentally we control, and we don't know that we control. Like, in our mind, we don't need anybody to point us in a direction to be willing to harm each other. We do it to ourselves. So we're trying to address the trauma and change the mindset. Like, we're trying to do a paradigm shift. We're trying to have people look at the world a different way and go through the world in a different way. So we addressing that by trying to deal with the youth and wherever we can find an opportunity to be letting the spaces to do that. That was another thing about the Kanye and Drake's concert that it opened the door for. Because even though I'm gonna be positive and I want everybody to be positive so we can operate together and help each other, my name is Larry Hoover. And that stops me from getting the places that I need to get to. Even though that I've been a family man, a working man, an educated man, my name is still Larry Hoover. So people were scared of that. But that was a big thing for me with the Kanye and Drake concert that opened the doors. That's how I started getting calls to get in these spaces to keep my legacy alive, to keep it going with what my father was doing. I mean, my father was actually addressing trauma, worried about other people, and that's what we fighting for, when he needed somebody to help him the whole time. Because they don't want him to come home. They don't want him to help other people. And they don't want him to help himself. But it's not, like I said, it's not just about him. It's about doing what he wanted to do, and that's to help others. He would make sure that other inmates stay clean so they can get home and get back to the world. And we still trying to do the same thing. We're trying to help young men not be a part of that situation. But mentally, they have to have the right understanding of the world so they don't end up incarcerated and needing prison reform because they were charged the wrong way. They need to have a paradigm shift so that they don't feel like, if I disrespect you or you disrespect me, somebody needs to die. You know, I grew up in hip hop and I love hip hop, but my perspective on hip hop at this day and age right now, like especially Chicago and drill hip hop, is that it's dangerous. You know, I understand that young men it's almost like drugs. Young men find a way to make money, and it's part of the economics of the community, but it helps destroy the community. Just like, why does all our opportunities for economics destroy the community? The drill music is really talking about what's going on in the community, like the wars and the shootings and people talking about what happened and what's gonna happen next and mocking people for people that were harmed. Like, it gives people no other choice than to respond. I wouldn't care about drill music if it was telling stories and just talking shit, but it's real. And it keeps real live things going. So I just can't really just appreciate it like I should, because I care about these guys that's out here going through it. And they shouldn't have to die to be a part of the music industry. They shouldn't poison the ears of our youth. When you hear education is learned through repetition. By the time the little boys are 15 in their mind, they thinking that you gotta hit something if somebody disrespects you. They don't even know how to give respect. So I just think the drill is misleading. It's teaching the wrong things. It's turning people into savages. So if the music was just, it was entertainment and they was talking shit, it'll be okay. But seeing that it's real life, I can't enjoy it. I don't like it. I would love for them to make money rapping and talking stuff and telling good stories, but the fact that there's a lot of real into the stories that they telling, and there's real energy from the stories that they telling, it's just rough for me to really appreciate. A lot of folks don't know that Jay Prince has been in my life for over 20 years. People think he just came around with the Kanye and Drake situation. But we were doing shows when the Ghetto Boys were early on, and that blossomed into a relationship. And, he's been there directing me with little things for a long time now. And I was speaking earlier, one of the things that Jay tells me, matter of fact, I got a couple things. He was telling me that don't make a permanent solution for a short-term problem, because the problem is gonna be over. You don't want to do anything that you can't fix. The problem will soon go away. And then the other thing that he told me that kind of deals with like I was saying, the drill music and hip hop today is people keep campaigning and then they look silly when they get elected. Like, if you keep campaigning that I'm this super tough guy, that I'm this super killer, and when somebody kills you, you was elected. What did you expect? So, yeah, that's a couple little pieces of game that he's giving me. I didn't think about it, but here's another gem that I got from my father. And it deals with the youth of the day. And it dealt with the youth in his time. You can't kill everybody, and everybody is not worth killing. So you gotta understand that. Like, is this person worth your life? Because if you kill somebody, you're also putting your life on the line. I'm Larry Hoover Jr., and I'm checking out 24/7 HH.